What's up, horror fam?
You know what time it is.
And today we're talking haunted cemeteries. Let's get into this.
All right.
And we're here. What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Horror Chronicles podcast.
You know, that wasn't near as loud without Breezy being here.
Yeah, what the hell? As you can see, Breezy's not here with us, guys.
Yeah.
So, it's just us kicking this shit tonight. But anyways, guys.
That's all right.
Oh yeah, we'll take care of you, I promise. Welcome to the Horror Chronicles podcast. Like I said, I'm your host Ryan, and with me, my co-host JT's in the house.
What's up, everybody?
And yeah, guys, as you heard in the intro, we're talking about haunted cemeteries. But before we get into that conversation, we're gonna do a little bit of business here.
The business.
The business. If you're just listening to this on iTunes, Spotify, wherever, and you're not following us on Facebook, follow us on our Facebook page, guys. Very easy to find. Just put in Horror Chronicles Podcast, and you find us.
Yep. We're right there.
Yep. Just join the, make sure you like it, share it, tell everybody about it. Start a conversation with us,
We're
guys.
everywhere you creepy fuckers want to be.
Yeah, man. Oh, real quick, while I'm doing this, I want to give a shout out because on our Facebook page, guys, I said, hey, if you're going to get any merch, you guys make sure you send it in and let us know what you got. And we had somebody send in a picture of their merch today.
Oh.
Yes, sir. I'm going to find this bad boy if I can.
Oh, right there. Yeah, right there.
That's not merch. Well, I wish that was our merch.
Lovely Linnea Quigley.
I'm sure he put it in our community page. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, here we go.
Oh, look at that.
Josh.
Yeah.
Now, if I pronounce your name wrong, I apologize. Josh Shui? How would you think you pronounce that?
I don't know. I can't even see that. Shwee?
Yeah, okay. Swing!
Shwee.
Yeah, all right, man. Yeah, Josh, shout out to you, brother.
Hell yeah, thanks, man.
Merch looks good, man. He bought a shirt.
Looks really good, dude.
Looks really awesome. He said it's comfortable, too, so.
Okay, yeah.
Shout out to you, man.
T-Public makes some really good shirts, man.
Yeah, it's been crazy. I ordered some stuff for myself.
Comfy.
I ordered my stuff for myself like a month and a half ago. And it's finally going to be here on Wednesday, it says.
Yay!
they sent me things, so I can't wait to get some new shirts. And I'm going to be wearing some of our merch on here, guys, so I can show you some of our merch.
Me too. Oh, no, wait. Never mind.
So, anyways, guys, if follow us on Facebook, you guys can start conversations with us and get a hold of us and just, join the community. We're loving it. I think we try to stay pretty active. If you guys comment on something,
talking to you people, man.
For sure.
We got to get some more people on the show. I almost put a post up on Podcast Movement today about, hey, I co-host a paranormal podcast. And, we need to get some guests on there.
Oh, yeah.
So
guys, man, if you're listening to this, come over to our Facebook page, say, hey, I want to get on the show. We do phone calls, so don't worry about that shit. We can get you in.
We don't even care what you want to talk about.
Yeah,
you just tell us what you want to talk about. We'll do some research and we'll have a conversation.
Yeah, you got a movie you want to talk about, you got a freaking cryptid, anything like that. Let us know.
If you want to talk about horror gaming, anything.
Anything. We'll talk about it, guys. We want to get you on the show and have some cool-ass conversations with you. So, like I said, if you're not following the Facebook page, follow it. We also do a live show the last Saturday of the month.
My grandma took a shit, and it looks like Jesus.
Well, I don't know about that.
Well, okay, maybe we won't talk about that.
That might come up in the conversation, though.
Maybe.
But yeah, guys, we do a live show the last Saturday of the month, and we get to have conversations with you guys live and stuff. It's awesome. So don't forget to follow us there. Where else can they find us, JT?
You can find us every Friday night at 10 Eastern, 9 Central on craniumradio.com.
Craniumradio.com.
And of course, we're on all your, normal sites, Spotify, Stitcher. I signed us up for TuneIn.
All that good stuff.
A few others. iTunes is big for us. Man, if you guys are listening to us on iTunes, go over and give us a review. Rate us.
It'll help
you
us
wouldn't
out
believe how much that helps us rank up on their system. We're doing pretty good as it is. But
it helps out tremendously.
Us so much better.
And don't forget to check us out on YouTube, too. We got our videos. You guys can see our beautiful little faces. And we're going to be eventually putting on some different stuff on our YouTube page, like when we do investigations and when we do travels, if we go to conventions and stuff like that. A lot of extra content's going to be on there.
Yeah, which we should have gotten off our asses and done that this weekend. Paranormal Task Force is at Pythian Castle tonight.
Yep, we should have. I'm available. Well, fuck it. Let's just go.
Let's go.
I'm down. I got nothing to fucking do all night. But anyways, yeah, guys, come check us out. All those places. You can also get merch. You can get our merch at teepublic.com. TEEPUBLIC. teepublic.com, guys. Not to be mistaken with T-Pubic.
Yeah, don't type that in your browser. I tried it the other night.
And he's stuck on it now. But yeah, guys, T-Public, and just type in Horror Chronicles, and it'll pop up, and you'll see all of our merch on there, guys. And that's the mother effing business.
Hell yeah. Get that shit out of the way.
All right, now that bullshit's out the way. What's up, guys?
All right, so like we said, we're going to be talking about some haunted cemeteries. You know, haunted cemeteries is kind of weird for me because the way I look at it, if you're any kind of self-respecting ghost, why would you want to haunt a cemetery? And,
well,
you know, I never really understood it, but I think I kind of get it now.
Well, it's kind of something like I told you, I want to talk about some cemetery stuff. That's not necessarily talking about a haunted cemetery, but it's about cemeteries, you know, like your feeling on it. For me, a cemetery is a place of peace. You know, a lot of people are scared of cemeteries. I guess I can understand it because it's a place where you bury your dead and you know, your loved ones. But then you got cultures, you know, like is it the Hispanic culture, or you know that like you know, they celebrate it. You go to their grave sites during Dia de
los Muertos.
Yes, and
the Day of the Dead. You
go there and you basically visit with your family.
Yeah.
And that's where they go and they come. You know, that movie Coco I told you about. You know, my son loves that movie. And it kind of shows you a good, you know.
What they're talking about.
Yeah, it's a great representation of what they're talking about in a kid's movie form, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So people go there and they visit their loved ones that have passed, you know, that one day of the year. And it makes everybody feel better, you know. And I guess they see that as a portal, which... I mean, I can understand that, you know, makes sense to me that it's a portal. And I know for a fact there are cemeteries that are haunted, and we're going to talk about some of those too. But like, I know I personally have gotten EVPs from a cemetery that's in the middle of nowhere, no extra sound anywhere, you know, it's pretty fucking cool. So I believe highly that. My thing is I don't know if it's necessarily considered haunted, you know, because to me a haunting is kind of like I got my different like visions on that stuff, you know, and interpretations of it. But yeah, I think it's more that cemeteries are more like a portal and a place where it makes it easier for you to contact.
It's where that veil between the living and the dead is thinner.
Yes, yeah, you know, and I think that they could be a very peaceful place. I know a lot of people who go to the cemeteries and just sit to get some,
think,
you know what I mean? But that being
you know,
said,
of course, you go there to visit your loved ones. You know, I personally believe that most cemeteries, to me, are beautiful. You know, I know that sounds creepy, but you think about all the stones in a row, and you know, most of them are well manicured, but even the ones that aren't, you know, it just, I don't know. I've always looked at cemeteries as beautiful places.
Well, you know, it's like I said, you look at it and you just know the people who are there are in peace.
Right.
And you also see that, like...
some of them are. Anyway. We're going to get into that. Yeah.
It's often quiet, you know, and it's a good... for some reason. I mean, they say it's an eerie quiet, you know.
Yeah.
And, and I think what happens in cemeteries, as far as hauntings go, is that, A, you may have a very strong spirit or whatever you want to call it that's, you know, trying to come across. Or B... people, since that veil is so thin, people can open up that in their own mind.
They can.
And create something there, you know?
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. So,
so I kind of pulled together a few little short and sweet stories. You know, I didn't get real in depth with them. It's just some that I wanted to mention that kind of go along with this topic. And if you're all right, we'll just jump right into
Yeah, we'll
this.
just talk it. Let's just
all right.
fucking talk
So
about
the
something.
first one I'm going to talk about is, I've talked about this numerous times. I've always been fascinated with the story, but I'm going to talk about Resurrection Cemetery. Resurrection Cemetery is actually at 7201 Archer Road in what is considered Justice, Illinois. It's on the southern suburb of Chicago. Resurrection Cemetery was made famous by the persistent appearance of a woman that they dubbed Resurrection Mary. Resurrection Mary was a girl that died way before her time. She was walking alone on the road and was hit by a car and was left for dead in the ditch. She shows up from time to time, and she hitches a ride with people going down Archer Avenue, and the story goes that as they get closer to the gates of Resurrection Cemetery, she will either have them stop and she'll get out of the car, or she'll simply just vanish. I love the whole aspect of the vanishing hitchhiker stories. We did a big episode on this. It was like our second or third episode that we did. Very cool story. But Resurrection Cemetery is huge. It's like, God, man, I forgot to look that up, but it's like 300 acres, and there's like a couple 100,000 people buried there.
That's crazy, man.
You know, it's a huge cemetery.
Get lost
huge
in there.
Cemetery. But there's been a lot of stories about, of course, Resurrection Mary is the biggest one. They claim that they've actually seen her inside the cemetery. Police have actually claimed to have seen her. They were driving by one night and saw a woman on the other side of the locked gate, locked inside the cemetery, and when they stopped to investigate, she just vanished.
Don't you throw shit at me.
I'm throwing it.
Yeah, man. I mean, you know, that's kind of, it's, you hear, and like you said, there's a lot of different stories about, you know, vanishing hitchhikers and
Right.
stuff like that, you know. Something else I was thinking about, not the, I mean, I know we're jumping around, but we were just talking. It kind of, you know, something I never really thought about, because I was watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV show. I've been
Michelle Gellar.
I'm on vacation all week, so I've been binge watching it. But anyways, that movie, that show, just the intro, everything about that shoots me right back to when I was a kid. But anyway, you know, why? And I never looked this up. I don't know why I haven't yet. Like, sometimes in the movies, vampires can't go on sacred ground, which is a cemetery is called sacred ground.
Right.
But others, that's where they hang out at.
Right.
I don't know why they would.
There's got to be some lore to that from Bram Stoker that he had put into his book.
Yeah, I need to look more into that. But I just thought about that when we were talking about, and it just, my thought process went.
Well, and there's the other, you know, there's all kinds of different things, but one of the ones that I always thought was odd was, why can't they cross running water?
Yeah. Yeah, it's,
You know.
that's something we need to do an episode on.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
the myths and legends of myths and legend, you know.
Right.
Kind of that stuff, but
Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
I don't know. I just thought that popped in my damn head, and I was just like, I got to talk about it now,
cool
or I
thought.
forget about it, you know.
Cool thought.
But anyway, back to the vanishing hitchhiker thing.
So-
but yeah, it's pretty.
So yeah, Resurrection Mary is a really cool story. You know, if you guys are into that type of legend, there's several books out there about vanishing hitchhikers, and vanishing hitchhikers go all the way back to biblical times. There are stories about it in the Bible. But you know, we're not here to dwell on vanishing hitchhikers.
Yeah.
We're here to talk about
Cemeteries. Cemetery gates.
We should have played some Cemetery Gates. Little
Sorry.
Pantera.
Sorry, guys.
So, so this other one is really, really close to Resurrection Cemetery, and it's another big one. I forgot I was going to look and see exactly how far away from each other they were. I know I've looked at it on a map. My brother and I were going to go to a concert up in south side of Chicago, and one of the big things was I wanted to go see Resurrection Cemetery in Archer Avenue, and I knew that once we were there, I had looked it up on the map, we were we were going to be really close to this other cemetery I'm going to talk about. And this other cemetery, which most people should have seen footage from this cemetery, it's a cemetery called Bachelor's Grove. Bachelor's Grove is at 5900 West Midlothian Turnpike, which is in Midlothian, Illinois. It's, like I said, it's another one of those southern suburban areas of Chicago. Bachelor's Grove was reputed to be haunted, and there were several investigations there. And to make a long story short on this one, there is a picture. If you just get on the internet and type in Bachelor's Grove Cemetery, there is a picture that one of the investigators happened to catch on her camera of a woman, a transparent woman, sitting on a like a raised
grave
vault or whatever,
mausoleum
on a grave. Yeah,
wow.
A very, very creepy picture. In fact, on the video, I'm going to throw some of these pictures on there so people can see them. That really raised the bar on, spirit photography and stuff, and people were always trying to catch stuff.
Yeah, and like you said, it makes sense to go there to find things, because that's kind of their portal there. You would, I mean, granted, we're just kind of spitballing this, but like, you would think that as a spirit, once you leave your body, you would probably follow your body around for a while, just because you're so used to that. You think of it as that's your way of coming back.
I could see that.
And so going to a cemetery makes sense. It's it's pretty crazy to me that people think that it's such a scary place. I don't know. To me, it's just not.
Right. Right.
At all. It never has been. It's actually been a very peaceful place to me.
There used to be one close to the house where I grew up in, and we used to go over there at night all the time. And
we used to camp out right next.
Sit amongst the graves.
We used to camp out right next to fucking cemetery all the time, and that's also where we go to take girls to parties to get them scared, so they jump on.
Oh, a little phantasm.
Hold your hand. Exactly. Exactly.
What the fuck?
Oh shit.
Anyway, if you haven't seen that movie, go check that out.
God,
because there's a fantastic cemetery scene in that movie.
A couple of them.
The cemetery that we used to go and check out whenever I was a kid, was fairly new. Like mid 1900s and on. My grandmother, though, she lived in South St. Louis, and she lived right next. Well, she lived one block away from a cemetery. It was weird. If you look through the houses, you could see the cemetery. And it was a big cemetery there on Gravois. And in fact, it's so big, it's on both sides of Gravois.
Yeah.
And if you guys don't know, Gravois is a 4-lane road. In this place, it was pretty big. Well, the section that was on her side of Gravois, I went over there, quite a bit during the day just to walk, and a lot of the grave markers over there, some of them were so old you couldn't even read the dates on them anymore.
I was just at,
and others were like early 1800s.
I was just at a cemetery the other day. Me and my wife and the boys are visiting her dad's grave and stuff. Like, there's some over there like completely washed. You can't see anything on it,
Which is sad. I mean,
But what I was gonna say is my brother used to live in my oldest brother. He used to live in a house. It was a 2-story house, and dude, I shit you not, like it was in the country, and we would sleep upstairs, like almost like an attic type stuff. Right out the window. Not even probably 10 yards, 15 yards, cemetery.
Wow.
Right out the back of the house, and it had a street light in her yard, so it hit the fucking cemetery just perfect to light up some of the graves. Right. You look out there. My wife was so fucking petrified. She's like, look at the graveyard right over there. I'm like, yeah, it's right there, Yeah. But, well, I got a question. Do you have any interesting stories from a cemetery?
From when I went?
Uh-huh.
No. The only the only interesting story I have was when some of the older boys chased us out of there, because we were kind of like the geeky metalhead, and a bunch of jocks chased us out of there, and I thought I was going to die before I got out of that cemetery. That's about the only creepy thing I've ever seen in one.
Like I said, I've been in a lot of cemeteries, done investigations and stuff, and I've caught some cool ass shit on. I wish I still had that laptop. Someone stole it though, but like I had some cool ass EVPs on there, man. And like there was one, and it was Newburgh Cemetery we were at, and my brother and a friend of mine. There was 5 people up there. My brother and a friend of mine, and then me, my wife, and another friend of mine. Well, 3 of us, me, my wife, and one of my buddies went this direction, cemetery. My brother and my other buddy went the other direction. Mm-hmm. Well, it was just them 2 on their side. I didn't even catch it. My brother caught it. But anyways, they were just walking around. They were kind of talking, and my brother's just like, is there anyone out here who wants to say something? Mm-hmm. He stopped a second, and it's kind of cool because my buddy was like, sorry for stepping on your heads, like that, And then like, right after that, you hear it, like, to me, it kind of sounded like a eulogy.
Yeah.
Because it was like, thanks for coming out this evening, or thanks for being here this evening. But it was like, coming out this I mean, it was fucking crazy. Yeah. I'm like, did you hear that shit? And rewinded. I pulled it up I had the whole computer set up. We were checking out, and it was it sounded like a eulogy that he was, that the guy was saying.
That's cool.
And it went on for a few minutes. Clear as day. My sister doesn't really believe in that kind of stuff that much, and I showed her, and she's still petrified to it this day.
Yeah.
She's like, what the hell was that? I'm like, yeah. Exactly,
One of the creepiest things that happened to me in a cemetery was when I was about 8 or 9 years old. We had went to a cemetery for something. I don't know. My mom was probably putting flowers on somebody's grave, or my grandmother or somebody. And so we're walking through the cemetery, and I notice in front of in the ground, in front of the tombstones, there's like a hole, with like a plastic cup thing in it, And I asked my sister, I was like, what is that? And she said, oh, that's so they can breathe. It's like, pew!
See ya!
I'm out of here.
That's funny. Yeah.
That was a little morbid, but hey.
Yeah, and I mean, I've told the story before about riding go-karts up there and stuff and seeing black shadows jumping from tree to tree. I've seen that for sure. And
jumping on nimbly from tree to tree.
Oh, wimbly
meow,
nimbly.
Sir, you know why I pulled you over, meow?
Do I look like Do I look like I'm drinking out of a saucer? Jumping on nimbly from tree to tree.
Oh, good Lord.
Do you see me drink milk? Meow, where were we?
Fucking love that movie. Love that movie.
Great.
Anyway. All right, so the next one I wanted to mention, and I kind of thought you'd get a kick out of this because you kind of turned me on to it.
Oh, I turned him on. Did you hear that? He said out of his own damn mouth.
All the time. Was Stall Cemetery.
Oh, yeah.
And Lecompton, Kansas.
Lecompton.
If you guys haven't heard of Stall Cemetery is actually known as the Gates of Hell. Stall Cemetery had a church, a rock church, or stone church that was built there, and then the cemetery, of course, was built around it, which happens with a lot of cemeteries. But it got known for paranormal events, and next thing you know, there was people from all over the country coming there to check it out. And they were the church had been closed for a long time, and it was in bad
repair,
disrepair. And people started, doing graffiti on it and taking stones from it and stuff. And so eventually they ended up having to tear the church down. The remnants of the church, I believe, are still there. Stall Cemetery is still there, but it's no longer considered the Gates of Hell. But the story is that every year at a certain time that Satan would come back through a portal in Stall Cemetery. I don't think anybody ever saw that, though.
Who knows? I smelled LSD.
So people would congregate in this place every year on the same night.
I'd smell LSD.
Yeah.
Or DMT.
So.
You're seeing something.
But anyway, that's just a real quick one. Now we're going to go back to Illinois. I don't know why. It's funny. I started looking at cemetery, haunted cemeteries all over the world, and there were some cool ones that I ran across, like Rockwood Cemetery in Australia. Rockwood Cemetery is known for the picture of the baby on the grave. Mm-hmm. That's where it was taken at, was in Australia. But anyway, I kept running into cemeteries that were around us that are pretty well known for their paranormal activity. And this one is a pretty good one. This is Greenwood Cemetery in Decatur, Illinois.
Decatur.
Greenwood Cemetery was actually, I don't know, how do you put that? Constructed, I guess, or placed,
developed
on a native burial ground, and basically they ended up burying these people on top of
other people.
So that the cemetery itself got its start around the early 1800s when the settlers came through. Of course, when they needed to bury their dead, they took them to this burial grounds, and they would bury them. Well, in 1857, it was that section of land was incorporated into the Greenwood Cemetery. So now it's all one big cemetery there. So around 1920 is when the ghost story started. And it, there were several stories about, people seeing things inside the cemetery, hearing disembodied voices, lights, just all kinds of stuff. And then slowly the cemetery fell into disrepair. So around 1950, it was almost completely abandoned.
Holy shit.
During the 1950s, it was a home for gangs, cults, and then, of course, there was a lot of paranormal activity. But one of the really cool stories about this place is there's a small hill in the cemetery, and on this hill are a set of stairs, and it's 5 stone steps that go up to the top of the hill, and it's a small hill, but on top of the hill are 4 graves, and we're not going to discuss the family that's buried there because you don't really need to know that information.
Yeah.
But the story goes that numerous people have seen a woman with long dark hair and a white dress standing at the top of the staircase crying.
Interesting.
Nobody has ever been able to approach her because she vanishes.
Sound like we need to take this place out.
She's been seen in other parts of the cemetery, but she's mostly seen
there,
standing at the top of the staircase. So
we need to check that out.
Thought it was pretty cool. This is one that I did check out. I've been fascinated by the paranormal, so forever. So I look at all these different paranormal sites and what's happening in my town.
Paranormal porn.
So I play for the band LUNATIC. The rest of the band, they live in the small town in Illinois called Centralia, Illinois.
Centralia.
In Centralia, Illinois, there is a cemetery called the Elmwood Cemetery. And the Elmwood Cemetery is famous for a monument that was erected for a little girl, and her name was Violin Annie. We've talked about her on the show before. I did a big story about her. I'm not going to get in depth with that right now, but basically it is a huge monument, and on top of this monument is a stone statue of this girl with her violin. And when I say huge, this thing is, I think it's either 12 or 15 feet tall, to the top of her head. And there are claims that if you go there at night, you can hear violin music being played. This girl loved her violin. She carried it with her everywhere. And in fact, her parents, when she died at the age of 11 from diphtheria. And when she passed away, her mother and father actually buried her with her violin. And so the claim is you can hear her play her violin on certain nights.
We need to check that out.
I have actually checked this place out. Whenever I went to Centralia, my buddy Jim, I was talking to him about it, and he was like, "Oh, dude, jump in the car, let's go," you know. And he took me right over and took me right to her grave, and it's really cool. It's very peaceful. It's a beautiful cemetery. Her marker is one of the biggest things in there. You know, it was just really cool. We didn't hear anything, but we were there during the day.
We should check it out.
So I took some pictures and stuff, but I did see that the guy Huff Paranormal, you've heard of him. He actually did a story. I think it was in 2012 or 14, somewhere a few years ago. He actually went to Centralia. He was traveling through, and he stopped in Centralia and checked it out. And he's got some really good photos of that.
We should definitely check it out ourselves.
Some of the investigators have said that they've been in there at night, and her statue seems to glow in the dark. Other people have seen her statue actually crying, shedding tears, green tears. Very, very cool story. The actual story behind Violent Annie is really tragic, but the cemetery is pretty neat story.
We should definitely check. That'd be a good road trip.
Yeah, easily. And I'll get with the guys and maybe we'll do some jamming.
Jam-a-lam.
We don't do that much anymore.
Yeah, but
we're all old and fat.
So you can still do it. But yeah, you know, that'd be a good spot for us to go and do an investigation and shit, you know, and
oh yeah,
just to get that history and then get our own person. Like I've said a million times before, you know, paranormal stuff and events are pretty personal thing. You know, it's something everyone's like, I want proof, and it's just like, you know, most of it, to me, 90% of it's all personal. It's feelings, it's what you see, what you don't catch, you know, things like that. So,
you know, when I first moved down here, so I moved to this area, 06. And when I first moved down here, I was, you know, reading a lot of paranormal books and was really, you know, I've been fascinated by it my whole life. And so I started going through, I immediately got out my book and said, okay, what's in my area, you know, and started going through it, got on the internet, did some more research and stuff, and I found a few places, and one of them was really interesting. I remember the story. There is somewhere around St. James, there is an old Catholic cemetery that is supposed to be haunted by a priest.
So what you're saying is,
keep your kids out of there.
People are getting touched a lot.
God, we're fucking horrible. Jesus Christ. Anyway, what's crazy is so over the past couple of days, I've been looking at some stories and cemeteries and stuff, and I tried to find that, and I couldn't find it. I could not find that information. I had ran across it before. I mean, I'm not making shit up. Well,
Yeah.
I might be. But maybe it's that Mandela effect.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. But anyway, that leads me to the big one that we always talk about doing and never do.
Well, we're working it out. I think that one we should do, you know.
We're going to talk about Pine Hill Cemetery in Rolla, Missouri, and the Goatman's Grave.
And I think that's one that we should, you know, I think with that one, we should definitely do. We talk about a little bit about now, but we're
going to talk a little bit about it now, but not a lot.
We're going to do a full investigation.
That one though, and I'm going to throw this out there. I really want to get with Shayla and Terry from Show Me Scares and do an investigation out there.
Fuck yeah!
Because she actually asked me about it if we had ever been out there.
That'd be awesome.
You know, if I could get them two girls to come up here, and all of us go out there.
Yes, 100%.
I think that'd be kick ass.
And since we're doing it the right way,
Right.
like
right.
we have
we know people that own the property.
Yeah,
we're not going down. Because here's the crazy thing about Goatman's Grave and Pine Hill Cemetery. Pine Hill Cemetery is in the middle of nowhere, really. It's down this road that the locals call Spook Hollow. There's some story to it, but a lot of people have talked about it's really dangerous to go down there because some locals that live around it will actually chase you out of there
with guns,
and they're not afraid to shoot first and ask questions later. So I've heard it's very dangerous to go down there, and that's kind of what's kept me out of there. Now, I did one day at lunch, because I work in St. James, one day at lunch, I went and drove down because I knew about where it was at. I never found the cemetery, though, but I figured out why, because I was on the right road, but you've got to turn and go down this gravel road and go back in the woods quite a ways. And I didn't do that. You know, I just kind of drove down the road. But on the way down there was an old school bus that some homeless guy lived in for a while. And there's some weird stories behind that. And there's also a pyramid back there that was owned by some sort of cult or something. Very, very strange area.
This episode that we're going to do, that's a fucking great idea, by the way. We should definitely get a hold of them and set that up. And I get security. That way we have security there, but we also know people there, guys.
And I know a lot of the cops in St. James.
So it's going to be, but we'll get our own security people there to set up, But anyways, that's a fucking great idea to get them down here.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good time.
And I mean, just there's so much
proper. We're not going to go down there without permission and be disturbing shit. We just want to go down and see it.
Yeah, and we're going to do an investigation. We're going to have it's going to be that's going to be something you guys are going to want to check out our YouTube page for
sure.
Because
that'll be a cool story.
A lot of content on there.
There's a lot of people, especially in this area. Now, you guys that live away from us probably never heard of Goatman's Grave. But a lot of the locals, I mean, everybody that I run into that you start talking about paranormal stuff, they're like, "Oh, have you ever heard of Goatman's Grave?"
You know what we should do? You know what we should do? We should do a podcast with them and then do the investigation. Do a podcast on the Goatman's Grave.
Yeah, and then go down.
And then go there and do an investigation and put all of it up on YouTube. Dude, that's a fucking great idea. Awesome. Yeah, and there's
You're a damn genius.
There's a lot of shit around this place that's going to be make this a very awesome and interesting fucking podcast.
It'll be a cool
little show that we do.
And I know, I don't know for certain, but I'm pretty sure that Shayla will be up for that. I think
it'll be awesome
because their podcast, if you haven't listened to them, guys, Show Me Scares, they are not too far from us. They're about 120 miles from us. They are in the Springfield area, and what they do is they do kind of like we are, but they do it a little more pleasant than we do. They get into the history of different things, like true crime and hauntings and stuff like that. Very informative and very cool show.
Show Me Scares, guys. Check them out.
Yeah.
Check them out.
So now we're going to pull out the big gun here.
Okay, fuck.
So
I think we're going to do this early.
Ryan's gonna pull his pants down. So
turn your Zoom on.
Here. No, never mind. This is a little ways away from us. I don't think we're going to be going here anytime soon. But we will. We're going to talk about what is considered the most haunted cemetery in the entire world. It is a place called the Greyfriars Kirkyard. The Greyfriars Kirkyard is in Edinburgh, Scotland. And it is considered, like I said, one of the most haunted cemeteries in the entire world. So the Greyfriars were a sanction of monks, and the reason why they call them Greyfriars is they all wore gray robes. So the story behind this place is they had their church, and they had built the cemetery around their church. There was a man... Oh, Jesus Christ. I didn't write that guy's name down.
We're going to call him Dick.
Yeah, he was a dick. McCarthy, I think was his name. Edward
John
McCarthy
Paul?
or something like that. Anyway, he was
dick?
there were there were a section that they called them the Covenant.
The Covenant?
Well, no, it was different than that. But anyway, they were a religious group that this guy did not agree with their beliefs or whatever. So he, what this guy did was he took all these people and he imprisoned them.
Imprisoned them. Boom,
Hold on,
boom,
give me a
boom.
second.
He's gonna look this shiznit up. Cemetery.
So what he did is he built a prison, kinda, in the cemetery. It was basically 4 walls, and he took these people and put them in the cemetery. They had no shelter, they had nothing, and he put 1,200 people in there.
Wow.
And they were called the Covenanters, and this guy basically put these people out there to die. He, wasn't going to let, he wasn't going to conform to their beliefs or whatever. But there is, look at the list of people that are buried in there.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's just a
Bloody Mackenzie's tomb.
yeah, it's crazy the amount of information on this place. But I can't believe I forgot to write this guy's name down.
That's something I was going to say, too. Places like Scotland and Ireland, man, they've got fucking buildings that are like 5,000 years old. I know there's a tomb over there. I believe it's a tomb that at the right time of the year, the sun, they got it, it's underground, but they got the stone cut at the right angles that during the right time, this certain time of year, it lights up the entire tombs down there through the fucking way the way it comes down. It's crazy, man. And just to be able to see that history is like that they still have standing over there is just, I can't wait to make a trip over there if I can. It's going to be so awesome, man.
That's what it was. The guy's last name was Mackenzie. And so the big story there is the Mackenzie poltergeist.
Ooh. I like it.
And so this guy, when he, of course, he died. And when he was died, excuse me.
When he was died.
When he died, he was entombed in this. It was a mausoleum. They called it the Black Mausoleum, and George Mackenzie was his name, and. So when this guy was interred in this mausoleum, he had been in there for years. This guy died in like the 1700s, and everything was fine. They never had any problems with the place until one night in 1999, a homeless man broke into the mausoleum.
Oh shit!
Once he broke into that mausoleum, they started having issues. This guy got in there and he went to open the coffin that was inside that mausoleum, and something scared him so bad that he turned around to run off, and when he did, he fell into this pit. At the bottom of this pit were a bunch of dead bodies from the plague.
Oh, shit.
Plague victims. Okay, so they get this guy out of there, but after that, after all of that, they started having issues in the cemetery, and anybody that got near this, what they called the Black Mausoleum, anybody that got near it would get, people were getting bruises, they were getting scratched, some people were getting bite marks.
Sounds like a good Saturday night.
There's been all kinds of EVPs and different, like, disembodied voices and all kinds of weird stuff happening around.
It would be so cool, man.
There is a big story out there called the Mackenzie Poltergeist, and it's a pretty cool story.
Yeah, it'd be awesome, you know. See on here it says dead animals found around it. People complain that an unseen apparition had pulled their hair, grabbed their legs and arms, hit them. Crazy. I mean,
Yeah, there's a guy.
it even says one or two have even claimed to be possessed.
Yeah.
So people are getting possessed at this mother truck.
Yeah, there's a guy that it's funny. He ended up renting a house which was inside the cemetery.
Whoa, cool.
They call him over there. They call him a kirkyard. That basically means a graveyard. He ended up renting a house because it was cheap, or an apartment because it was cheap, and had no idea. This guy was kind of into paranormal stuff, but not. You know,
Yeah.
But he had no idea that he lived like kind of right across the street from this black mausoleum. And this guy ended up starting a thing called the City of the Dead Tours. And so what happened with once all this craziness started happening, the city of Edinburgh basically shut down that section of the cemetery. They were doing tours there. They were doing guided tours there, but they shut down that section of the cemetery so you couldn't get to the Black Mausoleum
The fuck?
or the prison area where they kept the people. The only people that could get there was like, it was weird. You had to have special permission from the city to be able to get in there. And then they would take you back there. It was like, reservation only thing, but it wasn't something that daily.
Which would be cool though.
You know,
like that would be cool for someone like us.
Right.
Because that means there's less people there dealing that we have to deal with.
Exactly. Well, this guy, what he ended up doing was when he started the City of the Dead Tours, well, the city gave him access to that. So now what he does is he does tours around Edinburgh. Well, he was doing tours around Edinburgh. And he, could take people in there and show them this prison and all this stuff.
That'd be
the
awesome,
Black
man.
Mausoleum. He tells a really interesting story. In fact, it's in this article here where he talks about so he had all this research and all these eyewitness reports, like signed affidavits and stuff from people, had hundreds of thousands of them, and photos and all kinds of stuff. Well, something strangely, his apartment caught fire and he lost everything.
Oh man, that sucks.
Well, he didn't really lose everything. What he had done is, the guy was smart. He put a lot of stuff on computer, and the computer was housed in a different location from where the fire was. So he still had access to a lot of the stuff, but most of the original documents are now long gone.
Wow.
Because they burned up in the fire. But yeah, it was a very interesting story that this guy told about this Mackenzie poltergeist.
Yeah, I mean it would just be so cool to be able to go over there, see all.
Yeah.
I mean, everything's so old, man. It would just be awesome.
I'd fit right in.
Yeah,
All that old
you'd
shit.
be young over there.
I would be.
Be a young cat over there. But yeah, I mean, just the history. Because America is only like 300 something years old. There are thousands and thousands of years of stuff over there. Like I said, they got stuff over there that's 5,000 years old, still standing.
Yeah.
Crazy times. But
Yeah, the guy's name that started that was Jan Andrew Henderson.
Jan Andrew Henderson.
Pretty cool story. So,
Yeah, man.
but anyway, and then I've got just a little short one.
That's what I hear. You walked right into that.
I did. But I hit it with my belly first.
Yeehaw.
So this is a little short little snippet, but I'm throwing it in here because it was one of those fucking blew my mind whenever I finally realized what the hell I was looking at.
Did you figure out why Jimmy cracks corn and nobody cares?
So there is a cemetery. It's called the Martha's Chapel Cemetery, and it is in Huntsville, Texas. So I ran into a picture, and what they were showing you was a picture of a tree. They're showing you a picture of the cemetery, like part of the cemetery, And I'm looking at it, and I'm reading through the story, and then they talk about how these people got this picture of this little girl peeking around the corner of this tree, from around the tree. And so they show you the picture, and the picture, I'm looking at it, and the little girl, it's a little girl, I don't know, 8, 9 years old maybe, but her face is it looks perfect. It looks like you're looking at her. I mean, it's a great picture. But her face is kind of gray, and her hair's white. But she's a cute little girl. Her hair's done up and stuff. And I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking, that's freaking staged. Somebody staged that shit. And then I'm reading through the story, and they're talking about what's even weirder about the little girl's face around the tree is, if you look past the little girl, so it's really weird. This cemetery, there's like an old section of the cemetery, which is where this little girl was seen. And then just beyond that is a new section of cemetery. So the old section of cemetery has like got a chain link fence around it, and it's got all these trees growing around. It's your typical beautiful old cemetery, But just past that chain link fence and some of the trees, you can see an open field with more tombstones in it. But there's no trees out there. You can tell that they've expanded out, or whatever. And so what they're talking about is off in the distance, you can see this black figure standing in the
distance
amongst the tombstones out there. And the claim is that it's possibly the Grim Reaper or whatever, or in this picture it could possibly be a leaf. And I'm looking at this, and I'm kind of laughing. I'm like, okay, whatever, this looks kind of staged, whatever. So I kind of rewound it a little bit. What I didn't catch, the picture that they're showing you was from Google Street View. Nobody took that picture. Google happened to catch it as they were driving by.
Dude, I want to see that.
So what was cool is, once I found that out, I immediately came out here, opened the computer, got on Google, went to the cemetery, and started looking, trying to see, Now, this video that I was watching, I think it was from like 2012. So the Google Street View that I was seeing looked like it was more recent. I don't know when it was, because I don't know that they date those or whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I find the cemetery, and so I do Google Street View. Well, there's a road that runs in front of the cemetery. Well, it's an old like gravel road. Trees growing up on both sides of it, and as you're going down the road, skimming ahead, sliding your camera forward, it's just creepy as hell, dude. It's creepy as hell.
Because you never know what's going to pop up.
Then you get to the cemetery, and you're like, oh, okay. So I found the section where I think that they got this picture from. And I'm zooming in, and I didn't see anything, but yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. They caught this little girl.
That'd be a cool thing to look up.
Around this tree on Google Street View.
To look up creepy stuff found on Google Street.
There is some weird shit. I remember I got into Google Earth for a while, and they were talking about weird things. And one of the things they talked about was, or one of the things I saw was, there's a campground over in Europe somewhere that's right on a river or whatever. I don't remember exactly where it was. I think it was in Asia, in India or something. But anyway, it's really weird. When you look at the campground from satellite view, it's a perfect pentagram on the ground. It's trippy looking.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy, dude.
But yeah.
Well, it's just it kind of makes sense that you would make a campground kind of like that, because it's like keeps people separated, but not to the point where you can't.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It kind of it's like a perfect shape to keep people
right.
Separated but not too far from each other.
But yeah, there's all kinds of stuff on Worldview that you'll run into.
That'd be a cool episode. It's the fucking random shit,
Eerie shit.
Well, yeah, guys. That's what's up with these fucking creepy ass cemeteries, man.
But yeah, that's just a little quick synopsis of some creepy
something fun to go check out, guys.
There are hundreds of them, maybe thousands of them out there. I just kind of picked a few that were around us, and then a couple that I had to throw in. the Greyfriars Kirkyard. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't
Dude,
talk about cemeteries without talking about that place.
I talked about this before in an episode, I think, or I may not have, but there's a cemetery out. I can't remember the name of it. There's a marker on this road that everybody parties on, and it's out in the middle of the fucking national forest.
Is that the one that you talk about that's over on J or?
Yeah, over by Jay.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? There's a cemetery over there. Well, guess what? Well, we can't find it. It's marked. It says there's a cemetery, but there's no road to go to it. We walked from where the marker is at. We walked for hours trying to find a cemetery. Couldn't find it anywhere. So I don't know what happened with it, And then there's a raised grave out there, too, that we found. And it's right in the middle of nowhere by itself.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff. It's something for you guys to do,
Yeah.
Go out and check out a cemetery.
And we didn't even throw in some of the big ones, like the St. Louis No. 2 Cemetery in Louisiana, where Madame Laveau was buried.
Marie Laveau.
And,
Yeah, there's a bunch of them, guys.
There's a bunch of them.
This is something for you to do.
Yeah,
Go check it out and get out of the house and...
We're just here to pique your interest.
Yeah, we're here to give you a little bit of it. We're here to give you a chubby, and you can go get the rest of it your own self.
Yeah.
Anyways, guys, we're going to end this one. It's a fun little conversation. We love you guys, and as like we said, we're going to keep putting stuff out for you,
Yeah.
Give you a break from the monotony. So, yeah, we love you. Keep on buying that merch and sending us pictures,
Hell
guys.
yeah.
And like we said before,
That's
we're not
fucking sweet.
Yeah, we're not pushing that merch because we want money. We don't make a whole lot of money off of it. With TeePublic,
We make hardly anything off of it.
But
we just
want
to get our name out there.
And we want you guys to represent the horror family. We want everybody to know that our family's strong and that we represent each other and we're backing each other up. So,
Oh, yeah.
we love you guys. Thanks for all your support. And as always, until next time, keep it creepy.